We're here at the start, where the words fall apart, where language is lost in the wind. The syllables sway in an ancient ballet, the meaningless sounds that we sing. Sleep, babe.
Well, this is it. This is the finale, the conclusion of the three-part CFUW book sale book haul. What you're about to see is a selection of cover buys. This is the last pass that me and my wife made going through the aisles after we're satisfied in the genres already that we picked through. This was just going through the alphabetical listings and grabbing anything that caught our eye. And for a side note, for a bit of a channel update, I've been asked about the status of the manuscript that I'm writing, especially concerning the deadline 2 weeks ago. Needless to say, it didn't get to the point where I was able to put it up for pre-order on time, but we were both satisfied enough with the progress that I am still working on this full-time instead of going back to full-time work. But I'll get into a more substantial update on that when I upload the manuscript Monday that I plan to record, where I talk about, well, obviously about what I'm writing, but also about imposter syndrome. I think it is something that affects a lot of writers, whether they understand it or recognize it or not. So anyway, that'll be up either Monday or Tuesday, because, well, we all know what I'm like. But anyway, that's enough of the preamble. You came here to see the books. So here is the conclusion of that massive book haul. First up, we have what I would call the accidentally diverse offering, and that is Lydia Qua, The Walking Boy. I've never heard of the story, and I don't know what about it even caught my eye. I mean, the cover's nice looking. I don't know, I think this one was just a curiosity. I didn't read the synopsis before I bought it. Of course, now that I have, I realized that there's a lot going on in this novel. It takes place in 8th century China. Our protagonist is a character who was abandoned as a child or orphaned as a child and taken in by this monk. In the book, the protagonist is in their teens and they're sent, I think, on this quest to find the monk's past lover or something along those lines. It takes place, though, during a climate of this Western culture conflicting with Eastern tradition. It's very high tension. It's a very volatile kind of atmosphere. Aside from that, our main character was also born with both male and female genitals. So I believe hermaphrodite is still the correct term for that. So this is an Asian LBGT kind of historical fiction novel, which still sounds like it has a compelling story. So I'm very, very curious about this, and this is high up on the list of books from this haul that I plan to read in the very near future. It's also not very large either, so it seems like it'll be a fairly quick read. The next one we have is Lisa Genova's Left Neglected. Now this one, it may have been the cover itself that caught my eye. I'm not too sure. You'll probably hear me say that a lot during this section. But this is a story about one of those overworked, underappreciated mother type characters. The mom that has every detail of their kid's life planned out and knows where she has to be at what moment of every day, in spite of the fact she also works a full day job. My understanding is she has some kind of car accident that gives her a traumatic brain injury. But in the dust jacket, it does say the traumatic brain injury completely erases the left side of her world, and for once Sarah must pay close attention to the details surrounding her. But the part, I'm not too sure if it's meant to be taken literally or figuratively, but it does say, without an awareness of food on the left side of her plate, or even her own left hand, she's forced to search for answers in the void of this strange hemi world, both about the past and her uncertain future. So I'm not too sure if a brain injury would cause something like that, where you just have no perception of the left side at all. Like, I understand if you damage the right side of the brain, you can lose motor functions on the left side and things like this, but I didn't know that's how it worked. However, I'm not going to argue the logic in this, because I'm pretty sure Genova knows more than I do about neuroscience, considering she has a PhD from Harvard in neuroscience. And I hate repeating myself so much, but I mean, it does sound like it'll be an interesting story, so it is one I'm looking forward to getting to. And now we get to a genre that I absolutely adore, mostly in video games, but I'll give it a shot in fiction, and that's going to be of the Darkest Hour by Tony Schumacher. This is not an historical fiction, it's an alternate historical fiction. This takes place in 1946 in London, but with the Nazis having won the war. So this is Nazi-occupied London. That's really all I need to know about to want to read this book, but I would imagine it's, resistance fighting and things of that nature. I've played this story many times in video games. Now I'm looking forward to experiencing it in the literary world. Now on to something a little more generic, or at least I feel like it's more generic, and that's Gale Lynn's The Assassins. For $1, couldn't really go wrong. It's a book about assassins. It's a bestseller. There's not really much in the way of substance to make this stand out any other way. This sounds like a turn your brain off popcorn flick of a book. The back is nothing but blurbs. The inner dust jacket tells the plot of our main character apparently sees this person who's dressed identical to himself, who gets mowed down in a hit and run. And this apparently is the inciting incident that triggers this plot of kind of assassin versus assassin thing. So again, it's a story that you've seen over and over again in video games and movies, even in other books. But, it's for the sake of $1. Doesn't seem like it'd be a very difficult read, and sounds like it could be entertaining. We'll see what happens with this one. And the penultimate cover by is Stephen Bocho, whatever. Death by Hollywood. Stephen is the co-creator of Hill Street Blues and LA Law and NYPD Blue. So he's a television writer, a police procedural writer, and this novel is about a failed screenwriter, I believe. Yeah, a down on his luck screenwriter by the name of Bobby Newman is apparently watching the celebrity, and incidentally he witnesses the celebrity being murdered by a woman that he's brought to his place. I'm not sure how it gets from that to Newman having this conflict in his mind about calling the police or reporting it and making a lot of money, or it's what it feels like it's trying to say, but then it goes into how Newman finds himself helping out a police detective. And basically, by the sounds of the dust jacket, this is Paparazzi meets a buddy cop movie. Definitely not something I would have picked up if it was full price, but this one was 50 cents. So it sounds like it's entertaining enough to warrant the price tag, especially when Kirkus calls it a vulgar sex-filled romp in the best sense. Good, nasty fun. And last up, we have Stephen White's Dead Time. This apparently is a second in the series thriller, the original being Dry Ice. It takes place in, I think it was the Grand Canyon? Yeah. Basically, something must have happened in the first book where our main character's having some marital troubles. And in this book, his ex-wife comes to him about a missing friend, and the whole thing ties back to some trip that they all made years ago to the Grand Canyon. So, insert normal mystery thriller kind of narrative from there. Something about just the cover, something about the title kind of did speak to me, and for $1, I couldn't pass it up. That would be it. It is second in a series, but I don't think it's one of those things where you need to read the first book to enjoy this. So, if I'm wrong, I'll let you know when I get around to reading it, but that's Dead Time by Stephen White. And that's going to do it for the book haul. The 3-part first book haul ever is finally done. Especially with this last part, I know little to nothing about a lot of these titles, so as much as I enjoy going into stories blind, I would not refrain from reading some comments that you guys may have about, which one of these I should get to earlier rather than later. Have you read any of them? Are you familiar with any of the authors that I was not? Any information is greatly appreciated. Save for the comments, though. I am going to stay as blind to most of these as possible before going in, but thank you for your patience. I know it was quite a lengthy excursion, and hopefully if I do keep doing book hauls in this manner, I can probably keep it down, to at least under 15. Well, we'll see what happens. But that's it for now. I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.